microphones are on, so you are be recorded. If you are a citizen, please, and you are speaking, at least state your name so people, in case they don't know who you are or can't see you on the camera. So the comprehensive plan, I've given every commissioner a binder of our comprehensive plan, volume 1 and 2. And the plans that I've done in the past, especially during the review phase, I've found that it is a lot easier for the commission that I've been working with and or the public to take this. We can go through it step by step, but you put your changes in the margins or whatever you want in here. And then at the end of the process, we will gather your books, put it into a red line version, you know, with notes like, let's say Commissioner Fleming, you know, caught on to this topic, and we can then discuss those type of reviews. And any changes that, you know, we are wanting to adopt or look at for the comprehensive plan. So just in case everybody doesn't know, which I'm hoping you all do, what is a comprehensive plan? So it's a guide for the community and land use development. It's based on a community's vision, and it portrays the dynamic, unique qualities and the concerns of a community it represents and how the residents see their community. So tonight we have one community member. We're hoping that in the future we can do a large town hall meeting where we can get more people involved into it. The comprehensive plan, the future land use plans, those things keep coming up a lot lately. And so I think it's important that when we're reviewing these sections of the plan, that we take into account what we've worked on and what we want to work on. You know, how is it developed? You know, it's a profile, it's current conditions of our community. We'll analyze trends and future trends as well as current trends that are happening and conditions. So that's happening in the background. We're doing I'm doing the analysis now, and we're looking at putting out a survey for community members to be able, that may not want to attend the meeting, that will still be able to have the ability to have a little more input on it. So I've got the plan in Word version up here. So there's changes that, you know, anybody's talking about, Andy will type them in as we go through. I was asked to get different plans so that you guys could see how other cities have done plans. So I've got up there Sitka's comp plan. They just adopted that in December. And then I've got Cordova, Homer, and Nome. Those are the most recent comp plans that have been adopted, either 2018, 2019 period. So and Nome is a 2020. They're in the process of redoing theirs, but I wanted to put it in there because they are starting that process over. So if the commission wants to see any of those, we can pull them up. You guys can, and we can put them on our webpage, so you'll be able to review them, this packet. It's just, they're very large. I wasn't going to print them. One of them's 153 pages, one's another 200 pages.
We can
so
Google them. If you just sent us out a text of the ones that you've been looking at, then we can pull them up ourselves.
Yeah. And we'll put them as links from legislative history because of the work session tonight. So, but just so you know, we do have them, and then I'll just have Andy pull up Comp Plan Volume 1, and we can start going through to review it.
If Kelly's not here, could I just borrow her packet?
Do you have the other Kelly's book? Of course.
I won't mark it up.
You can mark it up. We'll give her a new one.
Thank you.
I thought she had put a post on Facebook.
Yeah, she's
about
not
the
in the
meeting.
country.
Okay.
That'll do it.
And we do have.
She didn't want her to fly back.
Yep, she didn't want to fly back, but she could be watching. We can all say hi, Kelly.
So what is our plan for tonight? I mean, I have some kind of more specific questions
Well,
that I wouldn't mind getting into, but I'm not sure where we're going as a group tonight.
well, our goal and our role is to review this once a year. So however the commission wants to start, if you want to start at the beginning, you want to start in the middle, you don't want to jump around, it's totally led by you guys on how you would like answers or things to be addressed.
I'm okay if we, express each of our commissioners, maybe hot topics, concerns, things that they have questions on, and start with that. Or we can just go through it page at a time, and when we hit your hot topics, you can have the floor. So what's the rest of the commission think about it?
I think that if we go page at a time, it will go similar like we did last time, which is you get too much information and you're thinking about the old information before the new information, and it just doesn't work. It's like you get boggled down on dumb things, and we don't ever really get anywhere. So I don't want to go page by page. Personally, the hot topic I always think it comes up most often is the land use map. And maybe it is even just wording how we put it in there to make it so people understand that, that it isn't a law, if it's on the comprehensive plan, that it doesn't have to be a law. I mean, I don't know, I'm not sure, so that's my one topic that I think
Okay,
gets
so
confused a
let's,
little more often than others.
I don't have a blank piece of paper. I can write on the back of this.
In the back of the binder, there's some
There's
notepaper.
no paper in the back.
Oh, you're so efficient. Okay, so, land use maps and the
The wording around it, I think.
Land
is-
use and future.
current
future,
and
right.
future.
Right.
All right,
And the wording around it probably
Okay.
more than anything.
Craig, what are your topics? I'm trying to piece some enough together to
Yeah,
make it 2 hours.
because there's a lot of good information in here,
Mhm.
but I don't see where it connects to a real plan. I mean, there's a lot of research, a lot of great information that can be used for grant writing and all kinds of things.
Mhm.
But when it comes down to the land use map, which kind of is the end product, it doesn't really say, like in the housing part, it doesn't really say that we're in need of high-density housing areas. But we are. And when you get to the map, we don't really say where does the high-density housing area.
It says it in 3212, support apartments and other high-density residential.
Let me, high density.
See, but everything might be in little pieces, and
Yeah.
Oh,
we know
yes.
that because we've read
We
every
just need-
piece
yeah.
a million times. It's our problem is that it's not a comprehensive plan. I mean,
It's too comprehensive.
maybe it's.
Yes.
Spread out. What we need is a simple plan. Who wants a 150
Yeah.
page plan? You know, we're gonna get it in
Craig,
15 pages.
do you think all the demographic information that's provided in volume 2 isn't being connected to the concepts in volume 1? Is that kind of where you were
I thought
going?
it kind of supported some of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was good information too if you're writing your grant.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But I didn't see where it really, they took the information and connected it to,
Applied it
and applied it
to where.
to.
So then you're
to
saying,
map or
okay,
to-
this is what we're doing this land use based on. This,
Exactly,
this,
yeah.
this, and this.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing based on. So,
Because we're seeing this growth in this particular area, or we're seeing, development, money coming in across the bay for SMIC with the Coast Guard. Because of that, we're gonna need to do this in the land use map. I didn't see that. And to me, that's what I thought it was gonna end up being.
Based on economic growth, some land use plans based on economic growth. and
Based on economic trends.
trends, and then the population rise will fall with those economic
Mhm.
trends. Okay?
Got an extra water in case you want some.
Nathaniel, any certain areas that you
Well, I'm interested in the land use as well.
Okay.
It seems like everyone is. But I just wanted to also go through and, like we're supposed to, go through and update instead of
Well,
regular.
the review, yeah, the
Yeah.
review could turn into some updates.
Well, I mean, just
That's
review it.
right,
I just wanted
yeah.
to sit down and review it.
Okay, all right, yeah, I guess we could have all pulled up our memo earlier. I did some, but. Tom, any?
Well, yeah, that's
basic-
kind of, I figured this meeting was more like a planning meeting on how we go about it. So I don't have specific hot topics.
Okay,
Because I was really looking at just, okay, are we gonna look at chapters, are we gonna look at, you know, items?
Mhm.
We talked at the end of last meeting about, you know, getting the land use and, which, again, we've gone through all kind of things. I mean, we can muddle through, this group can muddle through a lot of this stuff and clean it up, but the land use, which has just been a hot topic of late, is really where we need to get a lot of community.
yeah,
And then
Well,
I
you
said
know-
something about picking like a section of town and saying, we're gonna work on the land use from Jefferson south. And, you know, get the word out, and people that are interested in what happens in Jefferson South. You know, and then take another section, instead of trying to open the whole thing up, say, so then you try and get the people in that community, in that area, to come in. And make sure they speak their mind and stuff like that. Because then I think we can get some, especially if we get some, you know, a little bit of data from what we're hearing at that point in time. Because we, you know, we come in and someone's wanting to use a, you know, a zoning change, you know, we really say, well, in this area, in 2020, you know, this is the information we really got from this group of people. If you're going against it, it probably isn't going to move forward, type of thing. And, you know, can really kind of help some of that stuff. Your position when you know, someone's coming in, I'll tell you where this is probably going to go, based on this big, you know, we really push it, if we can get community support. If like normal, you know, we're in here almost always doing it ourselves, then it's really hard to, you know, sit in that chair over there and say, yeah, this is what our community wants, I think.
Well, and as far as like reviewing the plan in general, there's other ways that we could go about. When the SMIC plan was reviewed by PACAP, you know, and I've started that, but I don't have it up there, is a Excel spreadsheet that's like, that lists everything that's in the comp plan, and then we state, you know, is it ongoing? Is it something that's been completed? Is it the direction we're moving into? You know, and so you check those boxes and use that analysis, which I can, you know, we can do that at the next work session if you want to discuss it, and we can have it up on an Excel spreadsheet and just go, not line item by line item, it would be section by section, and it would have it listed out, and then we would decide, you know, review it and discuss, is this an ongoing thing? You know, like, there's one part, maintain community vision through the rigorous implementation and update of the comprehensive plan and land use plans. Like, is that ongoing? Yes, we're doing it ongoing, and.
But is it rigorous?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I know. Maybe to me, but maybe not to you. But, you know, encourage development of new housing in Seward. That's ongoing. But maybe there's something that we've already, and create incentives to provide land for housing developments within Seward. Development reimbursement
right,
program, like
and that
those.
was, mine was development,
Mhm.
plan development, economic development. How is that addressed in here, and are we working with the plan or against the plan?
Yeah, and so I know that you as commissioners don't see all of that, but, you know, this is sort of our Bible. We go by it, we use it. You know, as you can see mine, there's certain sections that I have highlighted that, you know, and that's partly how I also help with our priorities, like how do we need to rate the priorities? How's it listed in the comp plan? Is it something, you know, that we need to move forward on? And so you know, but I use it differently than just the normal person not applying for a grant or anything else, you know? It's like I
Right.
use it on a daily basis where if you're, when I have a developer come in and talk about zoning and future land use and the land use plan as it is right now, I tell everyone that the future is, in a perfect world, this is exactly how a group got together and wanted to see our city laid out. In a perfect world. But as I was saying earlier to Commissioner Eklund, there's nothing saying that we in community development or planning and zoning have to start at, let's say, Port and work our way down to rezone everything to what that future land use is. Those only come up when someone comes in and wants to do a rezone. And we look at it and go, okay, in the future land use plan, yeah, they're leaning that way, but it comes back to you guys where people believe that that future land use is exactly, that's it, that's all there is. And unfortunately, depending on times and economy and everything else, I mean, it could dictate back and forth, and that plan can change. I mean, a rezone happens, the future land use changes. So, the land use plan changes, and then we update the future land use to what that rezone was. Regardless if this is what everybody would like to see it, if it changes, we're gonna go in and change it on both maps.
Carol.
Carol.
Sorry.
Well, she's the chair. So I would like to add that the plan completely, I think, disregards the fact that we are a gateway community. We have been a gateway community since the founding in 1903, gateway to the interior. And now we are a gateway both ways, to the ocean, to the north, and they came out down here. So I would like that addressed, and with that gateway community comes a lot of challenges that have faced many other gateway communities with the lack of seasonal housing and a lot of vacation homes that people only are here for a few weeks in the summer, but the house is vacant the rest of the year. There's lots of issues that revolve around gateway communities, and we need to recognize that we are a gateway community and probably will continue to be. The other issue that I did not find addressed in this plan is the explosion of vacation rentals. And that's sort of part of this gateway community thing, but they don't even mention it. And that is tremendous change for Seward, and it's caught the world similarly by surprise, the popularity of short-term rentals and the additional issues with that, with the lack of seasonal housing, the lack of year-round housing. And so I think in the next revision, we need to really nail those down and decide what kind of a community do we want to be. Do we want to be a seaside hamlet that serves the tourists, or do we want to be a real town with real people who live here year-round and they have year-round jobs and year-round homes? And I, for one, would like to live in a real town, not a tourist town. And so I think those are really important decisions that need to guide us as we move forward.
On that, kind of not really on that, but kind of. One thing, I don't know if it would belong in here or not, but our entrance corridor into Seward is park. And I don't remember it being in here, maybe it is, but, and I don't know if there's anything we can do about it from a P&Z point of view.
But you put that is part of the thing, you put it in a comprehensive plan, right, you get something in there, and say like,
If
and you
everyone
have
else
you have our goals,
Yeah.
our goals for the next 10 years.
Well, on page, one of 114, establish attractive highway corridor from mile 0 to 8. Coordinate with local residents and Key National Municipal Planning Department to develop a specific land use plan for the corridor from Resurrection River to Mile 8 and areas adjacent to the city. So there is a
Okay.
one-liner on it, a one-liner, but
It hasn't helped me yet.
someone has to take that and go with it, you know?
How does it get to the top of the list?
Yeah, right.
And how do you regulate aesthetics?
Yeah, we've
Oh,
always
yeah.
kind
Well,
of
that is a
had a hard time with
But,
that.
you know, it doesn't have to be necessarily, I mean, when did the waterfront committee first get together? I mean, that was 20 years ago, 18 years ago, they got the waterfront committee. I mean, the city council said, we wanna clean up our waterfront. They put a committee together, they put a whole bunch of information together, which, when the Mary Lowell Center was coming in, nobody understood why the Mary Lowell Center was going in that specific location. They're like, oh, there's better ones. Well, the waterfront committee had driven that whole process to bring that building to that location to get rid of a bunch of shitty-looking buildings. You know, and stuff, and so, I mean, it is a process, and if you have it in there and you put this thing up on, you know, a little higher on priority, get more information, and I mean, I'm gonna expect to kind of just I don't think that we have the ability to choose whether this is a tourist town or not. I mean, you basically can't. From whatever I've seen all over the world, someone say, no, we don't want to increase tourism. Where's the growth happening? Everybody wants growth, but right now the fastest growth in the area is tourism. And then you know, then we talk about, you know, all the lodging that's coming in, that, you know, people coming in. It's like, okay, now we got a lot of people that want to, you know, we've had enough growth that people are saying, oh, this stuff's really expensive. The only way I can afford a house is by put an extra room in it. And so we have that expand, and then we're filling them. And so then, because we fill the rooms, then we have more kayak people, and we have more of the other people. And I remember when we didn't have any of our kayak companies live here year-round. And now several of those people are year-round residents. I just picked one industry. I mean, so if you want to pick something, you say, I'm totally in agreement with high priority is year-round jobs, or winter jobs, I mean year-round jobs, winter jobs, because a year-round job is a winter job. And so you put that priority in there, and you say, okay, what do we, you know, we're going for that type, or you just say, like, winter tourism could be part of that. You know, if the city and stuff starts working together to try and develop winter tourism, then we're getting some of this stuff going in, and some of the other things happening. But, yeah.
I would support year-round jobs, not just winter jobs,
Absolutely.
because that's very different from having a
It-
stable year-round economy.
It is, I mean, it is, but our issue is having people wintertime. I mean, I totally agree with you, I think we should do everything for year-round jobs, but I don't think we do enough benefit to try and push for winter jobs. But I don't know what we can do. I do know one thing, the road going out, Texas Glacier opening up, you know, type of thing, and that would all of a sudden open up a whole bunch more recreation, which opens up a whole bunch more jobs and people staying around and stuff like that. You know, I mean, that Seward is just, it's just gone, you know, crazy in the growth of the tourist industry since, you know, especially since the Sea Life Center. I think that was probably a turning point when people started putting on the map. I mean, I remember when I first came here, everything was Homer, 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 you know, Chamber of Commerce. How did we get, you know, Frommers and Forbes and you know, these other people to say something about Seward? Everything was about Homer. But over time, by keep pushing them, slowly switched over, and now it's the other way around. Most of the tourist stuff is talking about Seward more than Homer. And yeah, I don't know how to do it. I mean, I'd love to be able to say one thing about it, but I think you're barking at a tree.
Well, other communities faced with this problem where they allowed B&Bs everywhere are now going back, and it's really hard to go back. They are rezoning sections to say you cannot have anything less than a 30-day lodging in this zone, or you can't even do it in this zone. So they're pushing those nightly lodgings and Airbnbs out.
Right.
And
Oh.
we have already allowed commercialization of every zone except industrial and institutional to allow B&Bs to commercialize every zone. But we haven't expanded that to allow the whole, everything, vacation rentals in every zone. And that's where we can hold the line. We can say, no, you cannot have this nightly lodging, vacation rental in these zones. These are for our residents. And that's where we can be a tourist town, but control them. Don't let them take over our town and be everywhere.
No, and I agree with that. I'm just saying you can't not say a tourist town. You can't say, I want this, because you're gonna have that. If you, and I'm agreeing
I wanna
with you.
be a
If
town
I wanna
where
say,
tourists-
and what I have seen, especially down in Oregon, which it seems like every community across the coast and everyone in the interior, it's such a big thing, has gone into having percentages. You can only have, because we already have B&Bs in these areas, and we're already making steps to take care of a lot of that problem, because from most of what I've heard, most of our complaints aren't about the B&Bs, it's about the house rental, whole house rentals and boarding houses in the residential. And I really have, in fact, I've heard almost all the other ways, yeah, if somebody wants a B&B, I'm okay with that. Like, I've heard very few people say, well, B&B shouldn't be in R1. They say is, I don't want house rentals where it's all uncontrolled, and I don't want to have boarding houses, and those people down the streets for years have been putting their employees in there, and it's not really,
Yep.
those are really the problem, and I think we're addressing that pretty aggressively.
Really? That's encouraging.
Oh, I think
We
we're.
are.
There's several things in
Another letter.
We're getting on.
chapter 3, which is goals, objectives, and implementation action plans, which we have accomplished or are making great headway on, like support and improve the airport, improve roads within the industrial area zone. I think we've done quite a bit over at SMIC.
Excuse me, what page are you on?
It's page 1-2. Yeah, it's tied chapter 3.
Yeah, chapter 3, the goals and objectives implementation. 3.1 is economic development, and then it goes on to transportation and other things. But, it talked about promote seasonal and year-round tourism, including heritage tourism. I know that the Historic Preservation Committee is working on some broader heritage plans for tourism. We've had some more conventions in town. And I know that the Katuchek tribe is getting closer and closer to being nationally recognized as a native tribe.
And we're also just on the development background, we have a lot of coals in the fire, and, when it comes to people saying, we don't have housing and we don't have, in order to have a community that's year-round, that's also tourism-based, that is what we are. We have the individuals that are staying here, but we have companies that are looking at coming in that will also supply year-round jobs, but our biggest thing is, where's your infrastructure? How do we build? Where do we build? Do you want higher density in these areas? But I can tell you, in the next year and a half, I wouldn't even bat an eye at somebody coming in and saying, in the next year and a half, we need 150 homes. And after that, possibly another 150, just because of the goals that we have going right now. And, we're sitting here as administration going, okay, infrastructure, we have to get water and sewer, we have to allow development to happen. And in the meantime, we also have to look at the fact that we have citizens that want to do other things with their property. And I personally feel that, we need to protect the city, but we also have to let them have the ability to do what they need in their neighborhoods or their properties to make a living, to be here year-round.
I'm not sure, explain that. I'm not sure exactly what you meant by that. Different than they're already doing.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody came in and, you know, said, look, I live in this, you know, the way I look at it, and I'll just use the current rezone that we have happening, you know,
Which one?
well, we have two, so, so we'll just use the one outside of town that's out off of Spruce. You know, that individual, you know, for 11 and a half years has been trying to subdivide, to change his rezone, and with development requirements changing and you guys looking into that meets our comprehensive plan. We're giving somebody the ability that 11 years ago didn't have the ability to subdivide his property and possibly build duplexes. You know, it's 4 lots, but that's 8 homes. You know, and so I look at it, you know, I don't wanna lose our downtown, I don't wanna lose the R1 neighborhoods, but I think that, you know, from me looking not just 5 years, 10 years, 50 years forward, that the comprehensive plan needs to address, you know, areas that this is an R1 neighborhood. This is always gonna be an R1 neighborhood. And, you know, the rezone that's happening on 2nd Avenue. If you look at it, you know, I look at it differently. I look at it as, okay, if this rezone happens and goes through, maybe the commission needs to look at from A Street up, needs to be sort of a corridor that's office residential, urban residential, but from A Street south, it's R1, and it's never gonna change. And if we have to put that as a historic district, you know, and move it towards that direction where this is always gonna be R1, then that's what we need to do. But I don't think that it is right for when you have a group of people come in and say, this is what we want, and we say, nope, we're gonna make you stick to this, because the whole purpose of land use and code can be changed. Your land use can change every month if it's for the group as a whole, the whole city, not just one individual.
Well, you said 2 different things there. You said like when a group comes in, you look at the 2nd Avenue type of thing, and, you know, okay, 10 individuals come in. Is that the group, or is it the whole city?
Well, I'd say that's that group, that neighborhood
So
has
is
voted
any
to,
single, again, any single block that
if
comes
they
in
came
and they all decide the whole block, or the majority of the block.
by code right now.
Well, I know, I know it
Yeah.
can be done,
Right.
then, but
That's an
should it be
illegal
done?
spot
Because,
zone.
Okay,
No, no.
let's,
Yes, it is.
this is not the topic that we said this work session was gonna be on,
Correct.
okay?
Yeah.
So, we're
Yeah,
not
no.
gonna go there, okay? We're gonna stick on the comp plan, and we're gonna be constructive,
Correct.
destructive. So,
Can I-
okay,
Can I
yes,
throw in one
Craig.
more, kind of hot topic, but
Yes.
something, it's really an idea to consider. It's
Mhm.
not fleshed out. But one thing I have noticed about Seward is that the quality of our houses is decreasing. We have a lot of houses in our, I know on 2nd and other parts, people, for whatever reason, haven't been able to keep up their houses.
I find it almost exactly the opposite. I have seen so much improvement in the house.
I have too.
I've seen it, I mean, in the last 10 years, it has gone through the roof, how much more. people
I've
are
seen
spending
some, but
on
if
the
you
house.
go down 2nd, there's several houses on that street, and I've seen it in other places around town too, where
Oh, yeah,
the
but
houses
somebody
are
sold it
slipping.
Right, somebody sold in a house, they don't want to put the money into the house because they're getting towards retirement or whatever direction. It's gotta be the next owner that's gonna step in and when that happens, but that's what we're seeing, is people are buying houses and they're putting 200,000 into a house. They buy the house for 200, they put 200.
Yeah, one of those
Or they
old
tear
railroad
down.
houses there on the
Yeah.
corner of, what is it, the corner of A and 3rd? The improvements on that, that one railroad house. You know, there's
Oh,
these
yeah,
four
yeah.
railroad houses
Yeah.
across from each other. That one has just turned out beautiful. Now, the other three might need some work,
And you
but
gotta
that
remember,
one-
I mean, you look at Seward, you go back 20, 30 years ago, it was hard to make a living there. And the people that own these houses, I mean, if they were in that time period, they're just like, they don't have this huge amount of money to cost this thing. I'm just really strong about, that stuff is evolving, and, you know, I just remember 20 years ago what the town looked like.
And I think that, like yours is addressed in, even on 114, and it's 3311, and it says support a range of housing choices that meet the needs of people in various incomes and age groups. And then it goes down and it encourages residential development within the city and provide reasonable housing ranges. You know, those are all graspable. You know, we can make an area, R1 neighborhoods, if, you know, you make an area that's like I was saying earlier, if we said this section is gonna be historic, have a historic overlay, then those people could buy a home and possibly move in the direction of refurbishing that home back to its historic nature, which would upgrade and fix the house from Second Avenue, the way it looks. And then there's also, you know, the Second Avenue corridor is something that's already being reviewed and discussed on a plan to help fix the streets, the drainage and everything else, but then it's a beautification plan. I mean, those are things that are addressed in this comp plan, but it just hasn't come to fruition of where it's like, that's the #1 priority. Make every street, figure out a beautification plan and incorporate that into your code to where it's like, you know, sort of like a housing authority. This is what's required on these streets, which can happen, but.
I get that, but I mean, what we're saying in the comp plan really is, this is what we will allow to happen. But we're not saying that this is what we're gonna try and get to happen, or that we want this to happen. We're not incentivizing really any of these things to happen. We're just saying that if somebody wants to come along and do it, and it's in here, we'll allow it.
Well, how do you incent that? I mean, that's where it comes into, says somebody have a magic pot of money, we're gonna give some grants to clean up your yards.
You can use this to apply for a grant, if you wanted to do if some developer bought up a block and it had old houses on it or something, there must be a grant out there somewhere that they could say, you know? Or like right now with the extension of the utilities, we have 3313 set priorities for utility extension in a manner that encourages orderly residential development within and outside city limits. I mean, we're using this and this has helped the electric department
Get grants.
get cracking.
And,
You sign that, and that is
the
a-
direction of Public Works to
Right.
be able to get grants to extend our utilities out and replace existing
Yeah, and
infrastructure.
so I don't know how a single family could use it to incentivize them to improve their, you know, paint
Right,
or
and it really is a
windows or
citywide
whatever.
thing, it's a group thing.
Yeah.
This is not on an individual basis, it's about whole. And I would just already say something like, you know, trying to cut a lot of garbage out of this thing because it gets too thin, but then remember what's talking about is this, you need this language all the way through here because you don't know what the next grant is. That's like
Right,
having
yeah.
a priority stuff, you gotta put a whole bunch of things in your priorities because you don't know what money's coming. But if the money comes and you don't have it on your priority list, you can't get the money.
Even
So
the
you put a whole-
feasibility
it's just-
studies,
it's a
yeah.
shot
Like I
that's-
said, this is all the stuff we will allow to happen.
Right.
It's just that we're not taking it further, we're just saying.
Well,
allow
I
it.
think they are doing that in the next meeting. The whole thing about putting some dots on what we want to do and what we want to see in the next thing is what does that
Yeah, the
priority, not
capital
necessarily this
improvement
document.
plans.
Yeah.
You know, it's a city council and people going to the city council and saying, this is what I want to see happen in this town.
Which, you know, and that's, you know, it works off of this comp plan, but that capital improvement plan is the same thing, basically. You know, for years, it's just been, we know all these things would be really great, but we don't really have this pot of money, so we'll just keep adding to it. And and with this new council and new administration, it's getting more away from that, and it's like, let's set a goal. This is what we want in the next 1 to 5 years, this is what we want in the next 5 to 10 years, and it's gonna whittle down, you know, then we won't be where 25 years later, we're still trying to get an animal shelter. 15 years later, we're still trying to relocate public
But we'll have
works.
15 or 20 new things that are now priorities. So,
Right.
you know,
But-
we're gonna get
but-
5 of them knocked off, but there will be 15
There
more.
will be, you'll keep adding to it, but by allowing the community to come in and do that
Right.
process of dots, you know,
Right.
I think that even your guy, this plan would have been different if that would have been the approach. Like, it's like, here's how we need to do it. These were the top 10 things, but this plan, they have taken verbiage from every department head, every administrative, and anybody that came in. I went through all of their interviews and read how they got their data and how they came to this conclusion, which you guys, you know, you had your meetings and everything, but the background of it, I just was like, whoa, okay, now it's making so much, I mean, it's very clear to me to look at it and see that they sat down and talked to every employee and then turned around and did the same thing with council members, and then tried to take all of those suggestions and merge them into sort of one-liners, just so that we could, and by looking at that, they also looked at grants and was like, does this check the box for that grant? Yes, it does. This helps them be able to get that grant. And that's why, like, Sitka's is 153 pages. You start, you know, you start comparing them and looking at them, you're like, haha, they're checking the box that we may have missed. So it's,
Yeah.
Can I ask a clarification, please? You mentioned the Second Avenue corridor, fix the drainage in the streets. Is that a plan that's around somewhere, or is that just a suggestion?
it's something that the Seward Flood Board and the city, the Public Works Department has been working on regarding that. Also the culvert that's on Second Avenue there, so it was
At the
one of,
bottom of Second Avenue.
yeah, but
Terry Hill
the
down.
overall plan was to get somebody to give us a conceptual drawing of how they can fix that area and then just move up Second Avenue and start to beautify it and sort of merge it all in together. So it's in the very early stages, but it's something we've talked about.
Okay, I hadn't heard of that, thank you.
You know, I'm looking at housing, and I see develop a comprehensive housing plan to identify specific needs, encourage residential development within the city, and provide a reasonable range of housing options. I think, you know, we've got the Peterson's studio apartment thing, Tugas's, is it a 10-plex and then 2 duplex, and then
Yes.
a duplex?
Yep.
So there are 12 units.
Well,
So
yeah,
there's 2 different
and then,
options there. And he is, Tugas is adding another hotel, which hopefully will, people might wanna stay in a hotel instead of a B&B, and we will lose some B&Bs, because we'll have more hotel rooms.
Right, 07, when the market kind of dropped out a little bit, and also the competition, I mean, everybody was, like now, everybody had a house, rooms were going up, everybody's getting into business, and all of a sudden the economy dropped off, and the next year people were all bailing out. Like, this is a lot of work, you know, this is like, I'm not pre-booked at the beginning of the year, and so, you know, competition takes
Right,
care of that type
yeah,
of stuff.
it has an ebb and
You know,
flow.
You get
right.
more rooms
Yeah.
out there than there are people, and, you know, and you know, to this, the bigger hotels, they go like, well, I'm not filling up, I'm dropping my price, because they're gonna fill up, and then, you know, the places a little bit farther back, a little bit more out of the way are the ones that get hurt and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's not as easy, and it isn't as fun.
which, you know, you were mentioning earlier about a percentage, that's something that's come up over the last year and a half, you know, that you guys, we've discussed rewriting code, making it so we address lodging in a different way and maybe working out the percentages. This, you know, this last year, as everybody knows, was our research year, and
Right.
you guys, you know, I'm not putting a date out there, but you will be getting some data
Right.
that shows you like how those numbers have changed and where the mass majority is, and maybe that,
Right.
I mean, I think that will help immensely, where you see this chart and it's like, wow, it's all located in this area, so maybe we can put a smaller percentage in R1 areas, or, you know, but I think it will help you guys.
Yeah,
And I
if you
think
recall,
it
we
will
got
help.
into that whole program because we were talking about that subject.
Yes,
Because we need
exactly.
some data.
Yeah.
Then we went out and get the data,
We
we
need a
go,
ground
nobody's
truth.
paying
I got
their-
you, I got
their
you,
tax.
data.
We don't- what-
More data
The
than
data
we thought.
change, our priorities
We
change.
got a lot of data and not enough employees, I'm just putting that out there.
Then it'll be really cool to see what the new hotel
Yeah,
will do to that market, because I would expect that's what you said, that it's gonna drop off.
Yeah, it is, but then, you know, they're talking about the new, you know, spending the cruise ship dock, getting more things, and then, you know, that hotel is really oriented towards the Windsor Lodge and this and that. Downtown are really oriented toward that cruise ship industry, and people are willing to pay $350 a night for the road.
but I think that to
Not that-
develop a comprehensive housing plan,
I'm subject to this meeting.
it's something that we could do by using the data from short-term rentals, from the
Right.
data from
I
economic
think
development.
that's one of the reasons why we were going that direction.
Right.
And in that, I know that Martha's always mentioned the seasonal employee housing, you know, that companies can build some seasonal employee housing instead of us trying
We can deal with it.
to make it
Right.
for them.
Right, I mean, that's that economics and stuff, and we're, you know, we're seeing it with, what's his name, Cecil,
Yes,
what's,
Elliot.
Elliot.
What's his name?
I mean, he's building outside of town,
Yeah.
he's building his employee thing, cause he says like,
Oh, is that
it's, yeah, because he says, yeah, it's too hard, and, you know, and like,
Right,
you know, I said it like that, it's really, if you're gonna see the tourist business, this is one of the things I worry about. Like, don't help the tourist business, they'll fix it themselves because it's growing. But the tourist business, if there isn't short-term lodging, they gotta have employees. They are going to make housing. They're going to do it, and it's gonna be a cost of having a business, you know? And so you can kinda like, leave it alone, they'll fix it, but
Or could we require it?
no, that's socialism. No, what you can do is like what we talked about is get on the places that it's not legal and get that stuff shut down. Make it to have these inspections.
The houses
You
that
know,
are
get
the
into the
lodging,
different things, you know, make it
That's a
say,
tough one.
I mean, even the thing we're doing with the
Right
campground
next
on
door
the
to
other side. We
everybody.
said, look, we're moving towards not having fabric homes. You've gotta get in the middle. You let that known, and you know, we do that type of thing. If you want a comprehensive plan, I mean, those are the things that we can get the statements in here about, you know, where are we going? We are moving away from these things. We are moving away from, you know,
We've been, like, just looking at this, I mean, even
What number you
3222, it's on 114. You know, just in the last year, look, we've upgraded our GIS, we're making it,
Yeah,
the
I know that one.
capability of it, we've obtained equipment that is making it easier for developers to come in and us to work with them, and then them to also, you know, I'm a firm believer in, we'll help you, but if I can give you the tools to help yourself, it's a
win-win,
perfect,
yeah.
it's a win-win for us. So you know, those are, if I were to put it in an Excel spreadsheet, it would be like, this is ongoing, but check, we've done that. And so, you know, when I look at the housing, to develop a comprehensive housing plan is definitely something that community development could do to help you guys in the subdivisions and adding or rezoning. We could, you know, we could incorporate that into a part of the review if we introduced a comprehensive housing plan that was adopted. Then you could not only use your comprehensive plan, but you could use a comprehensive housing plan to help dictate how infrastructure was gonna be added or how you want to see your different areas be developed.
One thing that makes me really sad is as we develop, and especially after we allow the 30-foot lots instead of 60 minimum, we have lost so much historic and otherwise landscaping. So I wonder if my vision of our town is that we do have beautiful trees and shrubs and grass, as much as I hate mowing it. But many new developments are just gravel. They just cut down all the trees, put in a huge house, and there's gravel. And so I wonder if we could encourage the retention of our beautiful trees and shrubs
Well, I
by
can say,
having a landscaping ordinance that requires landscaping. And not just stick up a hanging plant or something, but many towns outside, if you cut down your sugar maple, if you want to trim it to get away from the street, you have to go through quite a lot of paperwork because they value their trees and shrubs.
well, if
And I don't want to be draconian, but I do want to protect our landscaping.
when we did development requirements, if everybody remembers, Andy and I tried really hard to do green space. And we were hit pretty hard back with green space, so, you know, we left open areas, but in the in the CUPs, we were able to put that landscaping needed to be involved. And, you know, that was something that Andy and I agreed on, that, you know, we do need to have a green space. We do need to say, it's not just gonna be all gravel, but, you know, by the recommendations of the citizens at the time and the commission, we changed that from green space to open space. And that open space opens it up to allow it to be gravel or pavement. And so I do agree that there should be certain areas that, you know, well, all areas I think that need to have some green space. And that was why I fought so hard for it, but did not succeed. So
And as the CUPs come up, that's something that can be,
Yep.
you know, with the planning group,
mhm.
because that's important.
And that's
Could be
what we
just
started
added
putting
every
in
single
there.
time.
Yeah, we
I know when
started-
they did the big new, city, for the boilers, they were supposed to put more green space in there.
Yes.
Where
It
was
was
that?
supposed to be
Martha?
buffer
The
for the
new-
school.
By the schools.
By the schools,
The new building.
the new
The
building
electrical
thing.
warehouse?
Yeah, because when we had it come through us, we had said how many trees need to be here, and to, yeah, they kept some of the big trees up, but, it wasn't, they didn't really make a buffer.
It was supposed to be shielded from the road.
That's right.
Right, and it never has been, so.
But they park
so-
it.
Well, part
Yeah,
of it
it's-
is the
it's
follow
open
through of a
space.
lot of things is hard. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not an easy follow.
Well, we were talking about, you know, talking about the, you know, the green space. I mean, the process of making that part of our community is getting it in the plan.
Absolutely.
And all we have to do is start by getting the plan, so find out which paragraph we put in, the right paragraph, that's the first step. And then it just, as more and more people read a thing, and more times it comes up in meetings and in discussions and stuff like that, it's like, then it becomes over time.
In our currently adopted comprehensive plan, it says, encourage landscaping in the conditional use permitting process. I can't tell you what page, it's just off the
Right.
top of my head. So what we can think about is,
They're moving out of there and just moving into.
adding language to maybe strengthen that.
Yeah.
It's just one line item right now.
Yeah, and then it doesn't need, should be in the community, you know, yeah, that's,
The other thought.
we don't have to put it under the conditional use permit
Right,
if we have it in another paragraph
Yeah.
on its own. Because
Right.
then we can use it in the conditional use process without, you know, sort of encouraging it through the conditional use process, it's just we're gonna encourage it.
so that could be an update that we could figure out
Somebody-
the one-liner to put it in.
It's gotta get a whole paragraph. Could be a half a page.
And you had something else?
No, I don't, I'm good. Thank you.
And that should be tied in along with that corridor coming in. Already in there, there's a section on the corridor.
Yeah,
And we just gotta extend that all the way down to beautification, and there could be a whole section on the beautification. Such as, we kept going to these cell towers, and keep going away from the housing that we should be talking about.
Community
hours total.
appearance, that's where it's at.
Community
Community appearance, improve the appearance of the entire community through increased
that was it.
landscaping, beautification, and litter control efforts.
What
So
section
more
is that?
attention, page 1.5, and it's 1.3.6. Many private businesses and residents along the Seward Highway 3rd Avenue corridor and in the entire community landscape their properties, so,
Where are we at?
1.5.
1.5, that was in the introduction
Yeah,
about
community
our
appearance,
accomplishments.
yeah.
That was under our
Parents of the entire community.
But it says to improve the appearance, so that's the goal.
community appearance.
Oh, those are 2020 accomplishments.
That's what we,
Yeah.
what they did.
Community appearance comes up again on page 1-7, section 2.2.
So in the community vision and values, 2 point what?
2.2.3,
Yeah.
Take an active role in beautifying the community, maintain a clean litter. We're working on some of these.
continue to require landscaping plans for conditional use
Yes.
permits as feasible.
And maybe that could be rolled into the historic district where, as you may know, I created a document of our historic trees and shrubs. And we're losing them kind of alarmingly because we want to make room for more housing.
Flatten it out before they
Parking.
start.
Yeah, but
They
if we
probably just
had,
flatten it out before they start, it's like, we didn't need to do that.
I know.
That's what happens, it's like,
It's just a shame.
you could just tell me where the house is.
Exactly. But if that was encouraged, especially in our historic district, where we do have a treasure trove of really beautiful old historic plants, that might help encourage them to save them.
There's city requirements that if you cut down a tree, you have to replant a tree that has a, certain diameter. It can't just be, I got my tree.
That's right.
No, but, I would be opposed to something along that line.
Seward, my hometown down there, if you cut down an oak tree, you plant 2 oak trees.
Right, yeah.
And if you didn't want them on your property, they would let you know where you could put them in the
Right.
city.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you had to do 2 trees.
Yeah.
So if I cut down a cottonwood on my tree, I can put 2 cottonwoods on yours?
No, the city would let us know where we can plant them.
Cottonwoods.
I think they should
No,
be
no.
exempt.
And I'll
Somebody the other day
gladly
was
give,
talking about Arbor Day, remember when the banks used to give you a sapling?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
back at home,
Right.
on Arbor Day, the banks gave you a sapling and the kids would go out and plant them and, yeah, that doesn't happen.
Well, the ground's frozen.
I would let the electric company come and take a bunch of mountain ash trees out of my yard, those little ones like this.
Yeah,
and grow
your
in.
invasive plant.
Yes, they are invasive, and they could plant as many as they want along that road.
You know, we had an individual come in today that was talking about putting some employee housing in, and the one thing that we told him was that, try to make it pleasing. Like, if there's alders and things, leave them in that don't cut them down.
Right.
Give yourself a screen, and he was like, well, maybe I'll just go outside city limits, but we're like, hey, come on. He
we
said
won't
that
let you
multiple
cut
times
all the
to,
Oh, you
we're
say,
like,
well, that would be great, because then you're leaving that property for somebody that really wants to be
we're
in
like,
city limits.
we're like 20-foot
Pictures,
setback,
right?
don't touch that, just leave it, give yourself
Or
that
they just
screen.
wanna do the California clear cut,
Yep, that's it.
pile up all the debris around the edges
That's right.
and leave a berm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but it's
Ugly.
stuff that we
I
encourage,
thought that was the Alaska.
we do to pretty
Not-
much
Not
everybody,
anywhere
but
I've,
that literally happened at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and we're like, no,
Maybe
leave
more
us a screen.
education could be provided on the value of native vegetative buffers. Because native plants, they support all of our native animals. All of our wildlife depends on these native plants.
and I've lived in a city that didn't allow you to plant an invasive species,
Right,
so.
right.
I mean,
Acreage is ripping up their mayday trees,
Ooh,
tearing them out. Beautiful specimens, valued specimens, tearing them out because they're so invasive
Yeah,
and riparian damage. It's just,
yeah.
it's heartbreaking to lose your valued tree, but
Well,
they're
I think
invasive, out they go.
that's also something that we can work with other departments on. I mean, with the new Parks and Rec director, I think that's, he's into that. So it's something that I feel comfortable being able to say, hey, we'll include Parks and Rec and maybe come up with a plan that says, if you cut down one, you must replace it. And if you don't have it on your property to do so,
You can put it in
So
a
how are all
rebuilt
these things that
area.
we're talking about?
Edgar
are
would
we-
be thrilled.
Going back to how we're trying to move forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Appearance
we
of
are.
the community.
It's in there. It was
Well,
under
I know we're
appearance.
talking about stuff in there, but what are we trying to do with this document? Are we going to this
Well,
stuff
I'm-
already in there, or-
I've circled a lot of stuff that we've done. So the hot topics, let's look back at the hot topics. So, I've got a list. I'm gonna read it off and somebody pick one that we wanna talk about. We've got 55 more minutes. We have the land use maps, the current and the future, high density housing, economic trends, planned review of, I think of this, development, gateway community, vacation rental, omission, that's what I put. Entrance corridor, quality of houses increasing, decreasing, and green space. All those are encompassed in here, so.
It's good that we're done.
well, I would like to say, like, talking about the land use and future land use maps, I wouldn't mind, coming up with a better definition of what they are, how they work within our code, for better understanding of individuals, not just the commissioners, but anybody that, that stands up in front of a council meeting and is like, that's what this says, like, explain to them.
So in the city code, what is the definition? Not in this, in the
Oh.
city code. What's the definition of a
Andy, can you hand me the code book over
land
there?
use plan and future land use plan?
Let me get the code book.
You want
We have two of these maps in this booklet. We have the small ones, and then they're folded up, and we have the bigger ones.
About the future land use map, that designation, the word future, was added by resolution during the council meetings that approved this comprehensive plan. I don't believe that we will find that referenced in our city code. It was supposed to clarify and differentiate the two maps. So I got that from legislative history.
Right, because it's been a problem for a while.
Pardon me?
It's because it's been a problem for a while.
So,
People don't
yeah,
know
so-
what it means to have a,
Few
The
that
land
needs to
use
go
plan.
Update code to include that.
So,
Okay.
the land use plan, you have the purpose, and then we have the zoning.
Zoning map,
So
okay.
the purpose, a part of the comprehensive plan, is the development of land use classification system on which to base zoning and to guide the land use regulation system. Such a classification system should be provide a balanced, compatible land use mix in order to separate incompatible uses and minimize conflicts between land uses.
Okay,
that's the regular zoning map.
no, that's the future,
That's the
future.
land use plan.
which
the
was,
zoning.
that's, no, because now she's gonna read the zoning.
I'm getting there.
The land use plan
Is the
didn't
future.
have future in it, in our code. But she's turning to the zoning map, which,
So are you saying the future land use map in our code is called the plan? land
it's
use
called the
plan?
land
The
use
land use
plan.
plan.
plan, not
That would be a
future.
good thing to tweak. to
Yeah.
put on our
Yeah,
list.
the next housekeeping.
The city is hereby divided into zones which definition and purpose are identical to those sectioned in those sections of 15.5.225B, which shall be bounded and defined as shown on the official zoning map. The official zoning map, together with all explanatory matter herein, as exhibited at the time of the public hearing is hereby adopted by reference and declared to be part of this chapter. So that's under district regulations, and that is where your zoning map is, official zoning map is discussed.
So that's what each little parcel is currently zoned at.
Correct.
Yep, you could just say real life and la la. You know, I mean, seriously, it's, you should make it so easy that it's not,
And that's what I'm saying,
Right,
like,
like,
you know, when
today
somebody comes in and we're like,
this
in a
is-
perfect world,
Yeah.
yeah.
My observation
Not
about,
Well,
yeah.
doesn't, well, I think, but I just, that's
Yeah.
why you have to think of whatever, what's gonna make it so people, personally,
Are-
having it read draft or something,
oh, I agree, yeah.
you know, there's something that has to be a difference so they understand it right at the beginning.
Our official zoning map and the future land use map are really consistent at the north end of town. It's only when we get to the Federal Edition original town site, part of Seward, that we have a lot of discrepancies. It's just an observation.
The federal edition south,
Sure.
not just the federal edition.
That's right, I meant to say, yeah, the Federal Edition on
South,
south.
yeah.
When you say the federal edition, what do you?
Oh, basically from the Seward Lagoon south is where we have the most discrepancies between the official and the future. And that's because of historical zoning changes. Basically, I, you know, there isn't any one reason why. Just an observation,
It's been here longer.
you know.
Okay, so, what other issues regarding those do we want to discuss?
Well, I think it's the idea that people think that the community made this. When the picture's right here of that, when we did it, look how many people in the community were there. Cheryl was there, Cindy was there, I was there, Margaret was there.
The contractors were
The
there.
contractors were there,
I was out.
Yeah,
Let's see,
seriously.
Donna was there,
and Donna.
And Dwayne.
and
Carrie
Dwayne.
Martin. That's Carrie Martin.
Yeah, Carrie Martin, uh-huh.
So, I mean, that's the problem.
That's Doug right
That's-
there, isn't it?
And that's why each
Yeah.
time it comes up when a person's standing there
Oh,
all
that's Carrie.
emotional, and it says that we should be doing this and that, isn't this a community? I've had the conversation on phone, I've had the conversation, and it's like, that was so bunk. The process we went through was bunk. So my thing is, how do you clarify that bunk? Really, it's having meetings again. And it's saying, we're working on the La land map. We are working on the future land map. We're not working on anything else. And let's get some ideas and just do it. So that when people stand up there and stay there, everyone agrees with, yeah, that's what we wanted. I think when you said you went through all the notes, you said that they did talk to every employee, and they talked to every city council
Yes.
member. That was the problem. That whole time that we were doing it, is they were talking to the city employees and the council members.
They had
And then they did-
28 responses via online.
And then they had a couple online responses, and then it was just this. They didn't have community involvement at all.
We had,
Zero.
they were here twice, 3 times?
Twice.
And their meetings were
Twice.
not, they were not advertised correctly, they were misadvertised. I mean, it was so bad. You knew about it, I knew about it.
Yeah, you couldn't, I remember it happening because you couldn't locate it for the longest time. People couldn't even find the plan to
Right,
discuss
the
it.
site that had it, that had the,
Right.
so I think it's just really taking the time to go back and say, yeah, that, we got the lowest bid. It looks beautiful. They did a good job with the editing, okay, you know, whatever. We did go through every line, you know, you and I
We did.
did, that's,
We did.
that's why I went through every line. That doesn't mean it was all community response to what's.
I do like the idea that you guys were talking about earlier, is like picking an area and being like, this neighborhood, we're gonna survey and we're gonna set meetings for this neighborhood for these 2 times or 3 times, and then move on to the next neighborhood. And I think you'll get a pretty good response. I mean, even if it takes
I
us
agree.
putting door hangers and
Yeah.
getting the word out,
Right.
you
It's
know,
incentivizing
because,
the
yeah.
person to show up.
The other
Just
thing
tell
that
them that
was
we're
new
making a,
was food.
Food.
Yeah.
Food, if you get food.
Right.
If you provide,
I
I mean,
know, I know
as
that.
tacky as it might seem,
it's, no, I agree,
people show up when you
100%.
provide food. I mean, it's just,
Right.
Talking about here, so on this plan, I mean, it looks like a lot of it is quite good in some areas, but do we do we choose a couple problem areas? I mean, we're gonna have this review, the idea to review this every year,
Yes,
every 2 years?
every year.
Every year
Every
we have
year,
it, we
okay.
look at it every year to say.
We look at
we're gonna
it.
do something.
So, I mean, instead of saying, let's look at this whole document and try and make changes, I mean, we can, as individuals, read through it and see if there's a couple words we'd like to change here and
Yep,
there and stuff like that.
and that's why
get
I
some
gave
things
you the
in there.
books, so you
Right.
guys can write on it and do
Write on
that.
stuff like
Yep.
that, we can do that kind of, but as a commission, we should really look at, one or two topics that we need, that we think need, that are wrong, that are bad, not good,
Right,
Missing.
right,
or missing,
miss.
okay? And then, and if we choose land use, that's probably good for this year.
Right.
I mean, because that's
Yeah,
a big
because
topic by itself.
If you
I
guys
mean,
choose
if
land
we-
use, we can tie it in with that, block wide.
Right, if we start
Yeah.
doing that, because that's, that's 7 meetings, type of thing, and that would really tie us up to the whole year. I don't think we'd really be able to get on this.
So I've already had Andy add it to the agenda for us to have this as a discussion item so we can get direction from you as commissioners at our February 4th meeting. So we can,
Move forward.
we can move forward and move with a plan of if we go block by block or section by section and then sort of, show them what the plan says for their area and how that affects them, I think would be really good, but it is on the agenda for the 4th for discussion.
If we have another meeting, if that's the direction we're gonna go, then I would say that one of the things that if we're to go door to door, drop something off, we should have a questionnaire.
Yes,
If that questionnaire piques them to come to the meeting, if they're not gonna come to the meeting, they can send it in, but that would be, I think,
well, I already
topic
have a
for workshop.
survey put together, so just so you guys know, and I'll bring that I'll put that in the packet, just because one of my things for me to be able to collect data was, I was like, well, I'll do SurveyMonkey and I'll do a flyer that will go out to everybody in their mail, just so I could get some data back.
Right.
And,
With regard to this?
yeah,
But this is the review, not the rewrite.
right, no,
I mean, it can be updated, but not,
While you're
no.
gone,
While you were gone.
well, no. I was like, we're switching, because,
No,
I would love to redo this.
no, I get that, yeah.
When, we can fix the really poor sections
While you were gone.
while we're all gone, we can fix the real.
No, while you were out of the meeting, out of
Yeah.
the room, we can
No, I don't know if we
You're
wanna.
not rewriting the whole plan.
No, I know we
Cindy,
have a
what we talked
timeline.
about while you were out of the meeting was that this is gonna be a review that we're doing every year type of thing, that we should just pick a subject or two
Right,
this
Okay.
year. And then
yes,
I said, if we're to pick land use as a subject this year, that's probably our only one this year. Now, we could all read this on our own and make little comments and things like that and kind of go through and stuff like that.
I agree, except that we're already in the midst of working on the percentages of bed and breakfasts. We have to have that, we have to get that data so that we can really do the housing part. Which is part of the.
Which is part of the brand use,
Yeah, it
absolutely.
could easily, but it's with also help.
what we.
No, absolutely, that's a very, very important part, and that's one of the reasons why, if we're getting that data here, a lot of that data here pretty quick, then we need to mesh that, no, it's not coming real quick. This year
yes,
quick?
This year, yes, you will receive it, but I'm not giving a date, because,
What
No, no,
what I'm hoping is that that a map, a lot bigger than this, but like this, will show if there's, there'll be a legend with B&B or vacation rental or retail or industrial or marine services, and that's what the little dots are gonna be.
to show the
On,
use.
Yeah, so
what,
use,
it's
yeah,
a round
use.
through thing of what is really, what that piece of property is being used as.
and I'm doing that.
You're doing
Yeah,
that.
right now, I've got all the businesses and the type of retail and things that are downtown.
Mhm.
And I have how it's expanded out, but I've also, like adding the short-term rentals, that was, you know, clearing up that map and doing what we needed, and so,
So we initially asked you to do the housing stock,
right,
But
but
I think we need
administration asked me
to
to
do the
do
rest.
business.
Right.
So it's been going together.
Guys, guys,
So are you saying that when we were talking about land use, because I think that that data is basically essential since it's an important part of it, and we're that close to it, even if it's a year away, which in the big picture isn't very far. That the land use is something we don't want to address at this time.
I think that if you're comparing the land use to as it is right now in this comp plan, and if it's confusing for individuals, that you can move forward on. But if you're wanting to use the data from short-term rentals and businesses in general to dictate your land use or your future land use, not land use,
Well, we can't do anything about
Yeah.
land use, we're to look
But-
at future land.
but, you know, that would dictate how your future land use is laid out, then I would say July, August, I'd be able to give
Because
you
if we have
that,
these
those
block
numbers.
get-togethers or
Right.
city sections,
Right,
that's data we really need to have for those
that, and
meetings,
that's
because
why I'm
so
like,
high priority in all of our discussions, that keep coming up.
yeah,
It's been it's just been a major topic over the last couple of years, and we're trying to move forward on something before that data is available. So it's like, well,
but yeah, like I said, I like the idea of tackling it block by block instead of, you know, I
Section
think.
by section.
Section by section, yeah, section by section.
can we call this, call this comprehensive plan review part 1? And then in August or September, or whenever you have that ground truthing information, we have part 2?
Oh, no, I'm open for
I
anything.
mean, cause
Yeah,
then
and
that would
that
be more
also-
helpful if we,
You know, we're, with our GIS and the data, the layers that we're adding, you know, we're going to be able to take even business licenses and put a dot on a map that's like, hey, this is retail industry,
we're
like you
doing
were saying.
exactly what I've been doing in
Mhm.
the area
Yeah,
that I've been working on,
right,
yeah.
yeah, so
So
that
which
could be
topics
on
do we
part
wanna
plan
do
two.
in evaluation 1?
No,
And could you clarify when you say comp plan review part 1, does that mean the comp plan part 1, or is that?
No,
mean
no,
part-
No, that-
Part-
no, just,
Part 1 of 100?
Part 1 of our annual review,
yeah.
Okay.
part 1 of our
So we know
annual
there's
review.
more coming.
But what do you guys think is our hottest topic? I mean, what's the
What do
biggest?
you think, what do we just hit the top, this topic? What do you think
Well-
the second on the topic?
Yeah, I think high density housing is, to me, one of our.
But that is actually, the density housing
Is,
really falls into the land use.
High density
Yeah.
housing, we gotta know where our high density is and where is our commercial.
Unless you're
and-
talking about, are we just going to try and work on a paragraph that we're, you know, expanding high density? I mean, we did have the discussion about, well, if you, okay, I'll back up on that. I expressed myself at one point in time saying like, hey, if we're gonna take, you know, R1, R2 up here above Second and First Street, and we're going to move that up to a higher density, then down here, we need to increase the density by, let's go to 5 stories and stuff. I mean, there's a whole thing there that says,
I get that.
are
but-
we saying this town, and I'm going back to Portland, seem to have a thing with Portland. That, you know, that's a town that says we're going up instead of out.
Mhm.
And Seward, well, we can't go out. We have a
We can't
very
go out.
small footprint as
We
far
can
as
go
a
up
city,
if we
so we
change
can
the
go up.
code.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
can go up if we
In
change the
some
code.
places. But
Boy, you
And
gotta
then-
decide what your vision is. My
That's-
vision is not a
Well, no,
high-rise.
Did I say that was my vision, Carol?
I did say, no,
No.
I
You said too,
my-
if we
my-
wanna go, I
my
don't wanna
point
go
was
there.
if somebody, my point was if you're gonna move that density, then you gotta do this, then you're saying I'm gonna increase the density of the whole town. I didn't say I was for that.
Yeah.
I
we
was
didn't-
bringing up
What's
point
our
out.
vision?
Yeah, what's our vision? I don't.
Back to the-
Put up a no more sign.
The point I was trying to make is that the request we just recently had to put in more high-density housing by changing the zone.
Right, the 3,000 square foot.
Yeah, my thing was, why couldn't we have done that proactively? Why couldn't we have looked at the maps and said, you know, maybe we should change the zoning for some of these areas so it would incentivize people to put in higher density housing, rather than have them go through all this process and change and money and all that, yeah, to do it. Why can't we be proactive and say, you know what, and incentivize by saying, hey,
But
maybe
is-
we should zone this.
But isn't that the land use thing that we just talked about? You're absolutely right. That is the
But
land
you can
use.
stop right there.
But that has to do with land use,
Yeah.
and it has to do with what is actually happening.
Absolutely. You know, you look
Where
out
are
at
we?
Forest Acres.
And your vision.
And your vision, yeah. You look at
And that's
Forest
what I'd
Acres,
really
and you
like to
have
see
people
us
that
get
are like,
Well, then the vision is
I
what we
don't
have to work
wanna
with
have
first.
just one house. I wanna be
No.
able to put more than one house on my
If,
property.
if that's something that in evaluation one, then we really need to be working what our vision is, because our vision affects everything else that one.
Another concern I have that I don't know where you would address it, but, so we have all these neat little colors for the zones. And then you go look in the code of what is allowed in those zones, and it's pretty shocking. And that all needs to be dealt with too. So I don't know how you tackle that, but it's huge, and it's so outdated.
I color coded the land use map to the what's allowed and what's not.
But then you look at the uses allowed table.
Yeah, I color coded it so you could pull up and look at industrial and then see, I mean, yeah, everything that it allowed.
I think what you mean, you might mean that like, what is it urban residential that allows taxidermy?
Yeah, taxidermy
And,
kind of
and
pops
that- and the
up.
chemicals you use in taxidermy, I don't really want next door to my house.
I know, there's some very antiquated
Yeah, so that's why
things in there.
I wonder if that's what you're referring to.
There's lots of.
I think
things
that
like
is what she was
I mean,
originally.
we
Yeah.
have to-
I understood exactly what she was
Okay.
referring to, let's look at our,
Okay, we have a section in this comp plan called vision,
Uh-huh.
if that's what we
What
want to
page are you on?
focus on. I am on page 1 of 6, the beginning of the code, not the here's what we've accomplished, but the Seward Community Vision and Values. Community Vision and Values 2030. So it has a heading, it has a heading called that, and then it goes to community values, and it doesn't go beyond that. So there's not a real clear vision written in this comp plan, other than it says, building on its impressive heritage and natural setting, the community's vision for itself includes an attractive, healthy, vibrant community, a strong, diverse economy with quality business, educational and recreational opportunities, a process for orderly growth, and an appreciation of local history, culture, and community.
Well, that's everything. That covers everything.
That covers everything.
does.
It covers everything,
Yep.
and that is the extent of the vision section of the comp plan.
Hours to do that. but-
Or they copied it from the last one.
We did, I think we're part of that one, I
Yeah.
don't care, yeah. Unfortunately,
I'm
that's
pretty
part,
sure
that's part of the problem with this, is I look at it like, oh god. yeah,
Well, see, to
I'm
me,
gonna
the
be
vision,
me.
you know, and really a lot of things, I think, to me, when you look at the vision, it says, you know, building on a post-1964 earthquake and a period of time of uncontrolled growth, I'm just throwing things out. I mean, if you really want to say something, say what the community really is. I mean, we went through, at post-64, where until pretty recently, it was like anything that, if you could bring jobs here, we'll figure out how to do it, we'll get it, we'll do everything. That has changed in the last 10 years, especially in the last 5 years. That there is quite a different, community-wide, you've always expressed this, but community-wide, there's a lot more swing towards greenery, views, and a lot less of individual property rights. You know, it's more like community property rights has significantly gained ground. That's, you know, I mean, to me, that's where you first start by something. You redefine where we've been, how we got to where we are, where do we want to go. And, you know, and that's a vision, because this is everything under the sun, doesn't say anything.
It does go on. If you go on, it says, the following are key community values identified by the citizens of Seward with supporting directions for the plan. Small town feel and atmosphere, we value the small town feel and friendly atmosphere and natural environment and open space, community
Yeah,
appearance,
the
recreation.
values, yeah,
So
the values go on,
continue
that's,
that.
2.2 was values,
Yeah.
I just read the vision at 2.1.
Right.
So there is a section on economic base, which I'm not, I was trying to determine if it said that anything goes like you were mentioning, Tom.
And what section
Well-
is that?
I mean,
Economic base?
But-
well,
but
Tom
I'm
was
gonna go
saying
back
that there
to
was
this.
a point where we allowed anything, and I wanted to see if this new 2030 comp plan had narrowed down what we were gonna allow as our economic base.
Yeah, because as you keep reading all those different headings, we've covered everything. I mean, there isn't any kind of priority type of thing.
But see, underneath it, there's things that have been accomplished and we can check off, so I think it did guide
No,
certain things.
I don't know that this guided it, because I think it says everything. I think our community has been guiding things. I mean, this whole mentality, the people sitting in this room, people sitting on these chairs, at the other meetings, have been pushing more for a different direction. I mean, if you're gonna state where we want things to go, this is saying we want economic development. Oh, we also want green space. Oh, we want more parking area. Oh, we want everything.
It's like a Bible, you can find anything you want in it.
Right. So, I mean, if you're really trying to say something, I mean, again, it's going in there that says, we're gonna say everything in here so we get grants. And if that's the case, and the way it is, it's fine.
If you want to put it in perspective, what percentage of this plan have we accomplished?
It
Some.
doesn't really,
Because it is
Some.
but.
I mean,
what-
it
but
was
everything
developed
we said.
in
it
3 years ago,
accomplished-
less than 3 years
if we
ago.
accomplished right about
Yeah.
what the grants came out with.
It's
You know,
supposed to
and,
take
but that's that
till
whole
2030.
thing, so you gotta say it, if the money becomes available, you already have it in writing, so you can get the money.
We have it on
And you
the
don't know what
agenda
the
for
money's gonna
discussion.
come, so you shotgun
Just to
everything.
discuss
But I think the
what
utility
direction you
Oh,
guys want
Changes
us
to
to
the
go.
utility infrastructure.
So I will
Or development
include
is one of the
the,
big
this is what's
Absolutely.
ongoing,
That should
this
be
is what
like,
we've done.
full letter, that's one of, that was one
I'll
of the big
reference
nuts that I can crack,
resolutions.
the things that we got.
Speaking of that, it'd be really nice to have updated infrastructure maps that show how the sewer lines have been extended, the water lines, the electric
You mean the
lines.
ones that are in here
Yeah,
that weren't
they're not
updated?
updated, so that would be a really nice thing
Yes,
to have,
we,
because that starts development.
we think that too, but unfortunately, because of employee turnover, some of our maps have not been updated. And so, I mean, it's an ongoing process with GIS, so it is something we're working on, but I don't know that we could update these maps like just right now, because there's a lot of times that I pull it up and it's like, yeah, that, I know that's got water.
Fire
So,
hydrants,
yeah, so-
Really good stuff to know.
yeah, so we can do that, it's just and manpower.
Right. Right. Put that in the plan, update infrastructure maps.
But as I was saying to the chair, like I said earlier, we will have this on the agenda for discussion, just so I can get direction from the commission as a whole on, you know, how we wanna look at this plan. Is it that you guys want to address the land use and you want us to do section by section and use that over this next year to do and add for us to have, you know, data? Or, you know, is there somewhere else that you want us to focus our time on? So take these home with you, come back on the 4th, prepared to give us direction on what you would like to see. Because I need it. Give me some direction. But, you know, I also
I'm just
include.
supposed to do everything.
I will also include in that an Excel spreadsheet that has all of these line items broke down, and you'll be able to see if it's ongoing, if it's been, something's been addressed, yeah, so
You're talking
I,
about the 2.24, whatever, these,
Right.
what line?
yep, I'll take
Just
that
at
and
each
be like,
line and then.
Right.
and then whatever resolution might be associated with it, but I think that that will help you, you know, understand how this works for us and how it works for the community. And maybe it's just, I mean, like I said, this is my Bible. I do use this on a daily basis, so, you know, but just the person that lives next door to me might not use it and not understand what's available to be done in the neighborhood, so it might help.
Do you recall if ADA is addressed in here? I'm just looking down your parking, there's nothing
It's,
about ADA.
yeah, there is, the ADA,
Something about sidewalks and fixing the sidewalk.
There was
crossing.
quite a, and I don't think we've gotten any further on that.
Yeah, your
That was under, I think,
Transportation,
yeah, I remember.
quality
seeing
of
that.
'cause that is so important, and we are so behind.
that's on page 1122, summary of planning issues and trends.
Oh, that's in volume 2 or
Right, yeah.
volume two.
Volume
Is that
two.
good?
Yeah.
What section was it?
Behind
Yeah.
the
That's behind the pink.
pink is,
Okay.
yeah, so, but there was,
That was 1122, transportation, 8.3. Said conduct an inventory of non-ADA compliant sidewalks and bring them into compliance.
Connect schools and residential areas through development of safe public right-of-ways, sidewalks, and trails. That's under, in volume 1 on page 115.
Why would Craig's section not be part of volume one? Why would ADA be split
It's
off?
probably listed somewhere else in
they remember reading.
volume, you know, because
Right,
this,
well,
volume 2
nice to have
is
it all
sort of the
together.
statistics and the information, so I mean, I'm looking, but it's probably,
Well, that would be a note to make sure that
Um,
any,
Here we go.
it's all
It's
organized.
page 115, expand and maintain existing sidewalks, what you just
Yeah.
read. and
Section-
Then develop, yeah.
In volume 1, section 1.3.4.4.
top of the page. What's the
One.
number?
1
What
dash
we've done, that's
One
what
what?
we've done.
1-4.
That's what we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's, oh yeah, that's right, that's in that
It's
section.
2017.
yeah.
All right.
Well, let's try to weave ADA compliance
Yeah.
throughout all these sections.
That should be hot topics.
Yes. 1972, hello?
Has it been 100 years, right?
No, it hasn't, not yet. We got time, we got lots of time. We'll all be in wheelchairs, you know? But, yeah, that's really important.
And not just, did you see when Nick Woodard made the presentation?
Yes.
A while back?
I hope they make changes.
I know we did it at the hospital and had him come back and check it out.
Good.
Uh,
The door doesn't slam them in the head when
No,
Right,
you
They also
can't get
do
locked
like-
inside anymore.
That's good.
But none of us thought of it,
Yeah,
because
that's
there's, you
good.
know,
I know.
an interior and exterior door, and
And
when you
it
get
is.
in
It's
between the two,
exactly
there's no
what we
button to
needed.
push or
Right.
anything.
Great.
You're just stuck in there. So that was fixed within a couple days.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
But without somebody like,
Trying it.
you know, yeah, needing it and looking for issues. like you
And I
wouldn't
know that
That's
Doug has taken that whole presentation, like really worked one-on-one with Nick, so
Doug,
Chesler, the.
Oh,
Right,
good.
well,
our
Public Works
Public Works
Director.
Director, yes.
Nice. I wonder how he likes the school, he's been tutoring.
Oh.
I know there's a few issues at the school too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nick
it's
has
always
been,
the
Nick has
library.
been tutoring, he's made it in and out with a lot of help.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a lot of support, thanks.
So we'll supply for your agenda the what has been done and what direction that is. And then you guys can, like I said, take these, write up, do it, you know, if it's just, you know, changing the sentencing or, you know, we can do those things. But I would rather, like, let you guys just tear it up and then we can, you know, not like that, like redline it, let me put that. Redline it, mark it up, and then we can move from there, but
Well, if we spend effort like this every year on this thing, in come 10 years, we won't have to hire anybody.
That's true.
Except maybe another planning person.
what?
Additional,
What?
additional, not different.
Do we need more help, Andy?
Additional.
I know, but do we need more help?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, no, yeah. We've been trying to tell everybody.
I hope that advertising could be expanded. I think people who get and read the city calendar understand that this is coming up. They understand there's a vacancy or two coming up, and otherwise, there's nothing in the journal, there's nothing in the online papers. There's
Really,
nothing.
Seward is a person-to-person community, which is one of those.
Yeah, it doesn't go very far.
No, but I used to work Parks Rec years ago, and literally, we used to call people up, we're gonna do this, you know, call people up. And the city can't do that, and I mean, that's the thing, it has more to do with the work, outreach group.
You know, PSAs, I think, would help. Did you know these openings? You know this comp plan is coming up? I don't know. I just
She does
don't know that the public is even aware of what you guys.
Radio ad.
You know, I mean, you have to think of all the different, it would probably be with Facebook is the best way to go, and unfortunately, there's lots of people that can't stand. I mean, once you put, well,
But
see,
usually there's
once
other
the city
people,
puts anything
Facebook
in
is pretty
Facebook,
good.
it turns into
I
something
don't do Facebook, but someone's
So it
always
doesn't
telling
work.
me it's on Facebook.
Well,
Right.
when,
It doesn't work
when
with
the
Facebook.
city clerk sends out her email about the city calendar, the email that goes out on the Tuesday of our meetings doesn't include our Tuesday night meeting.
I know.
And
Or
so,
topic.
right, because she's already publicly posted that the week before.
I noticed that.
And I've asked her about it before. I said, so why does that come out on the day of our meeting and it doesn't say anything about our meeting?
Because that's what she's putting in the paper for
Right,
the following.
because people who are interested in this stuff get that. They've signed up with the clerk to get
Right.
these notices.
Right.
But if you don't get home and don't look at your email until 7, 8 at night, you're like, oh, the meeting's already started.
Right.
And I
And you're
think that
getting
a
the email,
big,
so you're already one step up compared to most other.
a big part of the step of getting the words out there and getting the information is just like, you know, Brenda asking us to televise our meetings, you know. Our meetings used to always just be recorded, now we're able to go live, let people, you know, they can contact us the next day, but I think that just even this new setting with the ability for people to be able to watch, I mean, you know, like I said, Kelly, she's watching from afar.
Oh, yes. So what if, I mean, when Brenda sends out the calendar, it is attached to the bottom, but if she put in the email, in the message,
Happening this week.
don't forget about tonight's planning and
Right.
zoning work session on the comp planner, or planning and
Right.
zoning's meeting at 7 o'clock.
I'll ask her.
Because then her body of what goes in the paper isn't touched or changed,
Right.
but she could just type one sentence about what's happening that day.
And we can also send out, I mean, we could look at, I'll talk to Brenda tomorrow, but we could maybe send out just one of those, like the library does every week, hey, this is what's happening, and then have her send it out.
Yeah, I mean,
But, yeah,
that's
I
a
was
whole
gonna get it.
nother process, I mean, when you just add one sentence to what you already
Yeah,
sending out.
yeah, I'll ask her tomorrow.
See what she can do,
Okay.
and we'll be thankful for whatever.
Yep.
All right. So we will, read this and be prepared to answer your question on
And give us direction.
in February.
So what's the scoop on these reusable bottles? That's awesome.
Yeah.
We adjourn, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
The
For,
Who does?
the clerk,
Jay,